Hello, friends. Welcome to my YouTube channel, Pathology Academy. I'm Dr. Aditi Kumar, and today I will be talking about endometrial hyperplasia. So, what is endometrial hyperplasia? Well, it is proliferation of endometrial glands with a resultant increase in gland to stroma ratio. It can be of two types: hyperplasia without atypia and atypical hyperplasia, or also known as endometrioid intraepithelial neoplasia. Atypical hyperplasia or endometrioid intraepithelial neoplasia is considered to be a pre-malignant condition associated with increased risk of both progression to and simultaneous endometrioid adenocarcinoma. In endometrial hyperplasia, there is increase in gland to stroma ratio of more than 3 to 1. The prior terminologies of simple and complex hyperplasia no longer is included. Talking about the etiological factors. In premenopausal ladies, polycystic ovarian syndrome and chronic ovulation or infertility predisposes to endometrial hyperplasia. In peri and postmenopausal women, exogenous estrogen, for example, estrogen supplementation or tamoxifen, which is given for hormonal treatment for breast cancer as an estrogen receptor antagonist in breast, but it acts as an agonist in endometrium. So, exogenous estrogen and tamoxifen they can lead to endometrial hyperplasia. Other etiological factors are obesity and ovarian pathology like stromal hyperplasia and hypertrichosis can also lead to hyperestrogenism and then endometrial hyperplasia. Hormone secreting stromal tumors like granulosa cell tumor and thecoma are also associated with endometrial hyperplasia. The clinical features which a patient present with is generally abnormal or dysfunctional uterine bleeding. In rare cases, patients are asymptomatic. Diagnosis is usually done by pelvic and transvaginal ultrasound, endometrial biopsy, and hysteroscopy with endometrial curettage. Now let's talk about the histopathological findings in cases with endometrial hyperplasia without atypia. In this, there are closely packed glands with a gland to stroma ratio more than 3 to 1, but stroma is still present between glandular basement membranes, however, it is very minimal. In and it is not associated with any kind of atypical features. However, variation in gland size with cystic dilatation or irregular luminal contours can be noted, and it is also associated with stromal breakdown. In cases of atypical hyperplasia or endometrioid intraepithelial neoplasia, the architecture is similar to the cases without atypia. But the cytological features show loss of cellular polarity, hyperchromasia, nuclear enlargement, or even it can show metaplastic changes like tubal, eosinophilic, mucinous metaplastic changes. Here in the micrograph, you can see hyperplasia without atypia, where you can see the glandular crowding and minimal stroma. And in atypical hyperplasia, you can see there is loss of polarity and there is nuclear hyperchromasia and pleomorphism. Treatment depends on the type and presence of atypia. If endometrial hyperplasia is present without atypia, then progestin therapy is given. Lifestyle changes like weight loss is advised. Follow-up biopsies every 6 to 12 months is advised. And if there is endometrial hyperplasia with atypia, progestin therapy for fertility preservation is prescribed, and hysterectomy is recommended for women done with childbearing.